Liverpool v. everybody. Hello, it is Wednesday. Hope everybody is doing well. And I mean in general, not in football terms, because as Liverpool supporters, we're not doing too well. But I wanted to come on here and speak about Jurgen Klopp briefly. First of all, I just want to say shout out to his family and all of his loved ones. Apparently, he's lost his mom, and apparently he couldn't go to the funeral, which is, I mean, there's no words for that. That's just tough. I guess the German ban or whatever, as far as people from other countries coming in. I remember that was something they were talking about with the whole first leg against Leipzig. So naturally, it goes for any sort of travel. So that's tough to take. That's tough to take. It's tough to hear. And I know I'd be beside myself knowing that I couldn't at least go see my mother being put to rest. That's really, really rough. And I just wonder if it's something where I haven't looked too deep into the story, but I don't know if it's something that his mother was struggling with, and then, was it natural causes? Was it COVID? I don't know. Obviously, she's up there in age, and there's things that come with that over time. So, but really, just rest in peace to his mom, and I hope he's able to heal and get through that. That's tough. It's tough alone being just a manager of a football team and the expectations and pressure that comes with that. But who knows how he's built as far as how he's been able to deal with that. I don't want to make excuses for what Liverpool have been doing, but is that something he's been struggling with? That's kind of gotten involved in his everyday work. Again, I don't want to make any assumptions, and I'm not sure if that is the case or not. But it's definitely something that makes you wonder. So with that being said, I do want to get into some more serious things, and I just want to say this: I finally saw the interview he had with, I think, an Israeli reporter. It was hard to find, but I finally found it. Maybe I just was looking in the right places. And I'd heard the guys on ESPN FC discussing it. I was thinking, where's this interview that he, had this famous meltdown that everyone was talking about? So I found it, and look, it doesn't look good. It doesn't sound good. It's very cringy, actually. And, like all of us, well, not all of us, there's some people on Talk Sports saying Klopp out. We'll get to that a little later. But it just doesn't look good. And let's be honest, it's been a tough season for us, man. Some really bad results amongst those. Some heavily defeats, some not so heavy, but still disappointing. Just as disappointing, I think. I think when you look at a result against Burnley at home, Brighton, and then you look at the City situation recently, and then Aston Villa, they're all equally bad to me. And I know some people can argue that, 7-2 is the ultimate. That's just really, that's the worst. And sure, you can argue that, but to me, just how we lost, who we lost to, and those four matches to me they're all in one. They're just really, really bad altogether, I think. There's not one worse than the other to me. At the end of the day, it's a loss. How you lose, how many points you lose by, a lot of times, that just is what it is. A loss is a loss, and that's what bothers me. Yes, we lost some other games, or at least one other games. I think we have 5 losses. But those games in particular were just, the way they happened it was just bad. So, but with Klopp, there does seem to be a meltdown. And I think it's okay to admit that as a Liverpool fan. It's not about being Klopp out or getting behind the manager. Every supporter has a different way of supporting the fans. It's just like if Liverpool fans or any other football fan comes out and they, with racism or they're accused of that, all of a sudden the fans of that club are, he's not a real so-and-so fan. He is. He just has a different way of being a human and also a different way of supporting his team. And a lot of times being racist has nothing to do with supporting your team. If you have that in your heart and your spirit, then that's just who you are. But back to Klopp, I think, yes, it's been tough. Injuries, COVID, injuries after injuries. All your center backs pretty much are done. Besides the 2 guys you bought, and Nat Phillips, who I think is being overlooked a bit and probably should get more playing time. But if he doesn't trust them, then he doesn't trust them. If you go out and get 2 center backs, then, I don't know. But it's been tough. It's been tough. And we all know that, though. We all know it's been tough. So honestly, I'm going to just say this. It feels like this could be the beginning of the end for Klopp. And I hate saying that, but it just looks like everything is pointing that way. Particularly, this result against Leicester is really, really big. They were all big leading up to this, but this one is really big. Can this team bounce back from that embarrassing defeat? Can they do it? And I know it was more or less down to one man. I think Klopp sees that differently, slightly, but it's still a loss, and it's still when you lose as a team. That's how the saying goes. That's what it is. Offensively, in an attacking sense, we didn't really offer much. Thank God for that penalty, which some people will call a dive. And look, I think it's a situation where if he doesn't go to ground, as dramatic as it is or whatever, he doesn't get the pin. I think it's a penalty. The guy is impeding his process. But that's the thing with football now. It's like, if you don't go down, you don't get awarded it. If you go down, you get considered a diver. So there's a fine line there, and I just think if refs were just better at their job all around, then we wouldn't have these issues. But anyway, look, it's been tough. It's been tough, and you can understand the frustration from Klopp. I just think because we've been so good of late, just in terms of just over the seasons, this is something that just it just hit us out of nowhere. We didn't see all of this coming, and it's one thing to lose Van Dijk, but then you're just losing guys all over the pitch. Jota, midfielders, other center backs. So, but at the same token, I don't see that as an excuse. Injuries are part of the game, and it's your job as a manager to find a way to be as comfortable as you can if these injuries come. And I think Klopp would have to admit that he hasn't been. Klopp, the club, whatever you want to call it, there's no way in the world, number one, that you don't get another center back in the summer. We'll get to January, in the summer. You let Lovren go, you don't bring in another one. And it didn't even have to be a top-class defender. You know what I mean? You can't give me there was no one out there. This scouting team for Liverpool has been allegedly one of the best, right? So there had to be someone you can get. Even if it was something that was just for a few months. Even if it was something until you can kind of see when your other guys were going to go. Because no one knew our whole center back situation would be just depleted. And we'd have to play midfielders seemingly for the more important part of the season. So, but you have to prepare yourself. It's like anything else in the world. You don't want to not have insurance on your car or your house or whatever, knowing that there's an opportunity, there's a chance that something could go wrong and then you're just asked out. No one wants to hear, oh, I should have gotten insurance. It's too late then. So, that goes on the Klopp and the team there and the staff or the club in general. So I think it's some of his issue. It's some of the he can only do what he's allowed to do or he's given funds to do. But surely after the summer and you saw what was happening, first day of January, bro. I mean, you should have had a deal ready towards the end of February and just ready right away to trigger that deal the first of the month of January. So there's no excuse for that. I think you got to push for that. The money thing and all that, clearly they had enough money and had enough whereabouts, resources to get who they got over the line. I know it wasn't expensive, and one guy they got for free, but it's still they pay a wage, but it's still money. So you could have done that in January. So he comes at the reporter and says you should prepare your job better, and it's like, Klopp, you can't. I mean, the irony in that, you just can't. You can't do that. You can't say stuff like that. And I'm not sure. Look, these managers, especially after a loss, you got to do so many interviews. I get it. I'm sure it's irritating, but you got to keep your cool, man. And for me, there's too many excuses from Klopp in general. There's just too many excuses. Instead of, in my mind, a lot of times just putting it straight. And sometimes he'll just come out and say that, look, we weren't, whatever. But far too many times it's excuses and it's blow-ups and it's meltdowns with reporters. And look, sometimes reporters have a way of picking at you and trying to find a way. But we know that's their job. Surely Klopp knows that. So, I'm just disappointed in this particular interview with the, I think, Israeli reporter. I didn't like that. And I think, again, this match this weekend is big. Now, for me, Klopp's got money in the bag, in the bank, right? And I think people were making comparisons between him and Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers didn't have any trophies. So, that 6-1 to Stoke and some of the results he got before he went out of there, it was, if he had had a trophy, at least a trophy, I think maybe people who made the changes would have thought twice. Klopp has Champions League, he has the league, and also has just been up in that top four race. threatening to win the league over the past couple seasons. So I think he's got that in the bank. But with Klopp's mother passing, with results not going so well, with the meltdown and the press, things just don't look good. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I for sure I'm not Klopp out. But the people who are, although I don't agree with them, I kind of understand where they're coming from and the examples they're giving as to why. Now, some of these guys on Talk Sport that are just saying get him out and get Steven Gerrard, and it's just, I mean, it's a step away from high class comedy. But yeah, I just want to come on and just give some feelings about that. Look, the next game, that mentality, as we've heard before, the next game is always important. You know, the next game is about the next game. You got to take it one game at a time. But these results are not looking great. Bar the Spurs and West Ham results, which were good results against two teams that are, you know, in the top 8, top 6, and doing really well. That was good, but again, I said it before, it papered over a few of the cracks. So we have got to, there needs to be something that happens at Liverpool. I don't know what that something is. I'm not there, but the guys that are there need to really look at themselves, all those players, the managers, the backroom staff, assistant coaches, whatever, and really, really right this wrong and get this shit back on sale because, you know, now it's top 4. And how incredibly atrocious would it be if I can't see us not getting it, but even if that's a struggle, where we leave it till the last couple of days and just get over, or, you know, that would be probably one of the worst title defenses of all time. So, look, the league looks all but gone, all but done. I mean, again, it'll take an incredible miracle for that to get back, particularly the way that City are doing right now. I mean, they are, Phil Foden alone is just, what they're able to do without De Bruyne and Aguero and the defense. Bro, they're looking mean. They're looking mean. So, again, you know, that's going to be a team that, as long as Pep there, is going to be a team that we're going to be going toe-to-toe with, hopefully, for seasons to come. So, look, it's a really, really bad way right now. You can't even call it a bad patch. This is it's a bad time for us as Liverpool supporters in the club. And you just got to hope and be optimistic that it'll change. When that happens, I don't know. But a step forward would be Leicester and getting a win there. However, we got to get it. We can't keep taking these steps forward and then taking 2 steps back. You know, beating 2 teams back to back, 2 good teams, and then, you know, just performing incredibly bad against a team that probably aren't on the level of those other 2 teams, in my opinion. So, with respect to Brighton and teams that we've lost to, but just got to get our act together. And then Klopp has got to find a way, got to find a system. I think a lot of it has to do with just, if we can get Fabinho and Henderson back in that midfield, I think we can really see the difference in the team. If we do get those changes in that opportunity and we don't, then there's probably some bigger issues. But I really hope to see center backs in the central part of defense come the weekend. I really hope that happens. But that's me, man. Again, shout out to Klopp and his family. Rest in peace to his mom. That's a heavy, heavy, tough blow with everything else that's going on. That can't be good. And I'm hoping for the best for him and just any sort of positive feeling or just shout out to the family and pray that they can get over that and have some healing throughout this time. So that's my thoughts on Klopp and the situation, and look forward to seeing you guys at the weekend. Till then.